Welcome to our complete SEO training and SEO for WordPress websites. Udemy's best-selling and the most 5-star rated SEO course. I am Arun. I have been practicing and teaching SEO since the past decade to over 100,000 satisfied and successful students. I'm so excited that I now have the privilege of being your instructor for this course. It doesn't matter even if you have never done SEO on your site before, because each and every lecture on this course is prepared and polished with hands-on SEO tutorials that produce results. So you can follow along easily. Even if you have previous experiences with SEO but fail to achieve the top ranks on Google, don't worry. You will learn and implement the most effective 50 plus SEO factors that work along with 25 plus online SEO tools to reach the top spot on Google search. You don't need to waste your time and effort on ineffective SEO techniques or risk losing your ranking and money on inauthentic SEO agencies, as the entire curriculum is based on an SEO research compiled from the top 30 search engine result pages of 10,000 keywords. You will be learning only those white hat SEO techniques that work now and in the future. By the end of this course, you will be an expert in SEO and have a search engine optimized website all set to reach the top spot on Google search. You can either kickstart your SEO agency career or tap into the flood of traffic from Google and take your business to the next level. The path to my SEO expertise wasn't easy or without hurdles, so I understand the struggles you could have faced so far. It doesn't need to be that way anymore. That's why I have designed and updated this curriculum several times, not only incorporating the latest SEO updates, but also fine-tune the learning curve based on the issues our students face and their feedback on our course. But don't just take my word for it. Check out what my students had to say. As a student of this course, you have lifetime access to all the videos and resources in this course. Once you complete this course, you will be certified too, which adds a significant value to your resume. So, what are you still waiting for? Join me on the next lesson and let's get started. Welcome to this course. Let's see the contents of this course. In keyword research SEO section, you will learn 9 SEO factors and a set of free online tools to make that process easier for you. As brainstorming keyword is not the right way to do keyword research, we are going to find keywords via my unique competitor research strategy to rank on the front page of Google even without the need of link building. In technical SEO section, we will dive into 8 technical SEO factors. Not only do they improve your search ranking, first of all, it's very essential to enter into the search engine result pages. Most of these factors are one-time setup only factors. Once you learn and implement them in your website, you can stop worrying about it. In content SEO section, you will learn 11 SEO factors. Here, you will learn to improve the overall content relevancy score of your website's content and the practical specifications that you need to follow while creating your epic content. In Pagespeed SEO section, I have shown you how I got 95 plus score on official Google PageSpeed Insights tool and around a second of page loading time. You will start this section with a set of free online PageSpeed analyzing tools and get your website's PageSpeed report. Then you will start to make the PageSpeed optimization based on 2 different PageSpeed techniques. Get indexed by search engines faster. In this section, you will learn to create a sitemap and submit it to different search engines, including Google. In demystifying backlinks SEO section, you will learn the most important 5 SEO factors on link building. You will also get the best resources on latest link building techniques that work now and in the future. In user experience SEO section, you will learn 16 user experience SEO factors. These SEO factors are quite advanced and new to the World Wide Web. Here, you will learn to improve your user's experience on your website, thereby improving your search ranking and sustaining the top position forever. In negative SEO section, you will learn something that you might not have heard of. Here, you will learn to protect your website from negative SEO attacks. Either your smart competitor may trigger it, or you yourself may trigger it unknowingly. But if it happens, then you risk losing all the search rankings that you have attained so far. If you face any troubles while following our hands on tutorials on our course, don't worry. Just raise a question in our QA board under the corresponding lecture and we will help you to troubleshoot it. Let me tell you one thing, it's okay to get stuck up in the middle or run out of road. It happens to everyone. I've been there too, not just once or twice, quite often. Consider yourself lucky if you can't find your solution right away, as you will end up learning a lot more stuff than what you could have learned in the first place. Try searching for that issue on Google, and you'll be surprised to know you aren't the first person to face that issue. When I do the page speed optimization, I tend to break the site's design elements and end up troubleshooting it for hours together. But in the end, that's what gives me the confidence to face such issues and the expertise to rectify them. Sometimes in SEO, we might need to use one technical word to explain another. Give it some time. Just continue watching one or two more lectures. Then you will understand the practical explanation. With that said, I am so excited to be on board with you and give you my best wishes to reach the top spot on Google search, as well as to excel in your career as an SEO expert. In this lecture, we are going to see an overview of the holistic approach along with an example. Holistic approach means presenting the relevant content not only about the targeted keyword but also about all the related keywords to that targeted keyword. For example, when a user searches for iPhone display, the user may be expecting either the specifications of iPhone display or the cost of replacement parts of iPhone display or a practical comparison video of iPhone display versus other brands or much more than that. So, the content presenter should find all the related terms to that targeted keyword iPhone display and present the content that is covering the answers or information related to all the above specified scenarios. This is called a holistic approach. Pages which are following this approach rank higher in the long term. As users spend more time on such pages, eventually the bounce rate becomes negligible, thereby sustaining the top ranks for a long time. But there are several difficulties associated with the creation of holistic content. For example, let's see a few such difficulties that you would face while creating such holistic content, such as what other keywords are relevant for my topic? Where does one topic end? Where does the next one start? Which of these terms should I use in my content? Which should be avoided? Which of these keywords are redundant regarding the user's search intention? These difficulties can be overcome with the help of a few online SEO tools to find the right set of proof terms and relevant terms. Besides that, you need to have that minimum expertise or experience in your subject of interest to pick the right set of proof terms. I know you might be wondering about these two new jargons, proof terms and relevant terms. I will explain them soon in the upcoming lectures. Now, let's move on to some technical points showing the importance of content SEO. Contents of top 20 Google search results have become more comprehensive and the average word count is increasing year by year. As contents are becoming more holistic, importance of proof terms and relevant terms are getting increased. Though the contents are comprehensive, the ease of readability has improved. That is, the complexity of the content has decreased. So, focusing your content optimization on single keyword or keyword lists without providing truly relevant or useful content for the user will not result in long term success. In the next lecture, you will truly realize the potential of proof and relevant terms, as well as how essential they are to rank for your target keywords. In this lecture, you will learn how big your articles need to be to rank higher on Google. Let me introduce a term called word count. What is it? Generally, word count refers to the number of words in a text document or a Word document. But in the website space, word count refers to the number of words in the body of the post or page. This word count in a post or page does not include the words on your sidebar, header, or footer. In top 10 desktop search results, the average word count of the content is around 1600 for desktop and 1200 for mobile. Even for the top 20 search results, the average word count of the content is almost the same. The contents of the top few search results are becoming more detailed, more holistic, and therefore are able to answer more user questions. These web pages, which are on the top of the search results, are not simply long, they are highly relevant and rank comparably well for several keywords related to the same topic. The correlation factor has come down from 7% to -1% recently. Then, why are we giving so much importance to this SEO factor? This low correlation factor is because of the fact that almost all the top 10 search results have an average word count above 1600 words. Not only that, the content relevancy, user experience, and keyword research SEO factors have got closer interdependencies with word count. Once your website has got many articles ranking 9th or 10th, that is on the first page of Google, then edit those articles that are having higher bounce rates. Edit them to a condensed article having lots of useful content with different forms of information like image galleries, videos, bullet points, and make them easy to read. What is the thing that you should be cautious at this stage? Just for the sake of writing more words on your articles or news, don't stretch them or don't add non interesting content. On the internet, information is available everywhere. So, why should your visitors become your customers? What's so special about your website? Give something more of a value to your visitor base and build trust among them. Make them your customers and improve the loyal base for your business. You could have come across this phrase content is king. Yes, it is, but that doesn't mean if you write fantastic content, you will naturally get more visitors. That's not the case. Of course, Google will index each and every page of every website, but just that exceptional content alone won't take your website to the front page of Google. Then, what else is needed? Even if your website ranks lower on the search result, the title of your page should pull the user from the search results to your website. Add appropriate subheadings, internal links to related posts, images with alt tags, related videos, and related external links for further reading or purchases. You need to structure your content for easy readability. You need to present the content in an easy to understand language and improve its flush readability score. Also, you need to follow or exhibit a unique style of yours in writing. This style will become your fashion statement among your followers or visitors of your website. That style will become your unique identity. And lastly, you need to implement all the technical SEO factors which we discuss on the technical SEO section to get your entry ticket into Google search engine. Without having exceptional content, even if you implement all the other SEO techniques, your victory won't last long. Even if you attain the number one spot of Google search or even in the top 5 search positions, eventually you will lose your top rankings. If your content is not informational or engaging, the visitors who are entering from organic search and looking for something particular may bounce back to Google's search page. This will increase the bounce rate of that landing page and also it will decrease the user's time spent on your site. So, if some posts on your website are already getting lots of traffic and if they rank well on search results, then look at the bounce rate of that particular page and try to reduce the bounce rate. by adding holistic content, attractive images, interesting videos, or in whatever manner you feel that you can keep the organic visitors for some more time on your website. Now, you know that your content should be comprehensive, answering as many search users' questions as possible, and in an easy to read format. In the next lecture, you will learn the fact behind how your competitors are outranking your site even without having keywords in the title. In this lecture, let's see why technical SEO matters in a search ranking. Technical factors are just like an entry ticket or a gate pass to the search engine result pages. These factors are not only crucial to enter into the SERPs, but also they are highly essential to get higher rankings. In technical factors, we talk only about the overall technical optimization of your website and not about the content. Without these technical factors, just having good content alone will not take you to better search engine rankings. Exact keywords are getting their importance declined day by day. I will explain this through a simple example. A few years back, SEO experts used to stuff keywords for every other alternate line in the post or in the content. But after some 2 to 3 years, it's reduced to adding the target keyword once every 50 words. In recent years, the keyword appearance has got reduced to every 100th word or even less. Even the content relevance SEO factor is computed by excluding the exact search term or the target keyword from the content, which says that we can rank well even without including the exact search term in our content. By just including proof and relevant terms itself, you can outrank your competitors. But when it comes to technical SEO, if you don't add proper heading tags, internal link structure, and other technical SEO factors, then you can never enter the front page of Google search. That leads us to the existence of heading tags and description in your websites. Search engines expect the existence of headings inside your content. For example, instead of just increasing the text size for headings or making them bold, you should assign proper H1, H2, and H3 HTML tags for headings, subheadings, and minor headings, respectively. Also, Google expects you to give a separate meta description in WordPress excerpts. Next comes domain and page authority. A domain with higher SEO visibility or higher authority score is 100 times better than a normal website with 100 keyword optimized articles or posts. Nowadays, webmasters are writing longer and comprehensive posts, that is, posts that are running about 2000 to 3000 words. Also, they tend to add more multimedia content such as videos, images, and several CSS and JavaScript effects inside the post, which causes slower loading. Earlier, Google tends to boost search engine rankings for websites which load faster. But now, if your website loads slower, then your search engine ranking will move a lot many places back in the search engine results. So page speed or page loading time was a luxury a few years back, which has become an essential commodity now. So let's see how we can improve and implement all the technical SEO factors inside our websites. In this lecture, you will learn how to improve your page speed inside Score. When it comes to developing and designing an ideal website for your users, web.dev is your go-to website. In the web page web.dev/learn, you can see resources to learn about web vitals, that is, essential metrics for a healthy site, measuring performance and user experience of your site, techniques to improve your site's performance, which is what we are concerned with in this lecture. If you're a web developer, then you can make use of all the collections that are published in this website. Moving on to the fast load times collection. I shall add a link to this page as an external resource to this lecture. Whatever platform your website is on, the things that need optimization for faster page loading stays the same. Starting with image optimization, you need to use compressed images. choosing right image format, replace animated GIFs with videos, serve responsive images, using WebP format, using CDNs for images, adding lazy load for images and video. Coming to optimizing JavaScript, minify JavaScripts, preload critical JavaScript, lazy load non-critical JavaScript, remove unused JavaScript. Coming to optimizing CSS, minify CSS, defer non-critical CSS and extract critical CSS. Remove unused CSS. Then optimize fonts, cache static resources. If your site content is dynamically populated, then try to cache those generated content as static files. Add CDN to your site, optimize server load, and reduce server response time. But if you're not a web developer, or if you're not comfortable with coding your own site, then there are certain things which we need to be aware of. When it comes to removing CSS and JavaScripts, we can find those unused CSS and JavaScripts with a bit of effort. But to remove them from your code, you need to have coding knowledge, else you may break your site. If we can remove or deactivate those unnecessary or unused plugins and scripts, then we can reduce the page loading time by a large part. But still, if you're using site builder plugins or drag and drop based themes, then you will get a lot of unused CSS. These above said 7 steps are the guidelines to improve page speed of any website which is designed on any platform. Since there are multiple content management systems out there and a few websites are custom designed from scratch, it's not feasible to do a hands-on tutorial on page speed optimization on all of them. When we look at the market share of the top 10 million most visited sites, WordPress powers 64% of them. So, after we discuss the detailed process of these 7 steps of page speed optimization, I will demonstrate to you the hands-on page speed optimization tutorial for WordPress CMS alone. Even without the hands-on tutorial for other content management systems, our in-depth discussion of these 7 steps will help you Google the implementation part easily. So, let's start with image optimization and image compression in the next lecture. In this lecture, you will learn how to optimize your JavaScript to make your website load instantly. JavaScript is the programming language for the web. It can update and change both HTML and CSS. It was introduced in the year 1995 to add programs to web pages in Netscape Navigator browser. With JavaScript, developers can build modern web applications to interact directly with the users without reloading the page every time. For a website, above the fold area denotes the area of the site that appears on the screen before scrolling down. When it comes to page speed, you just need to make your website appear almost instantly in this above the fold area. To implement that, you need to follow the PRPL pattern. Push or preload the most important resources. Render the initial route as soon as possible. Pre-cache remaining assets. Lazy load other routes and non-critical assets. By preloading a certain resource, you are telling the browser that you want to fetch it sooner than the browser would otherwise discover. By adding rel equal to preload in a link tag of a HTML document, we can ask the browser to set a higher priority level to that resource to download it sooner. This preload request doesn't execute the JavaScript or CSS. A preloaded resource is just cached by the browser, so they are available immediately when needed. Let me add a link to the guide on preloading critical assets to external resources. In most cases, certain resources may be linked inside a JavaScript code, which needs to be downloaded before the execution of that script. These resources end up delaying the first render of your website. First render or start render is the moment when something actually appears to the eyes of the user. This can be measured only by recording a video of the site loading in the browser. So you can check this start render time only in webpagetest.org and not in PageSpeed Insights tool. That something which appears first can be a meaningful text or just a simple background color or an image. Hence, by preloading that certain resource in above the fold section of your site, you can reduce the first render time or the perceived initial load time. 2. Render the first contentful paint as soon as possible. First contentful paint is the moment when your website starts rendering some meaningful text or content to the user's browser. This time can be fetched from the browser itself, and so it's available in PageSpeed Insights itself. When a browser loads a website, first it receives the HTML document of the site, but that HTML document may link to other resources like images, CSS, and JavaScripts. The browser can know these resources only when it parses the HTML document. So even after downloading the HTML document, the browser cannot render the content until these necessary resources are downloaded and parsed. Only after parsing these necessary resources, the browser can render the page. The time taken till this moment becomes the first contentful paint time. These resources, which block the rendering of the HTML document, are called render blocking resources. Google's PageSpeed Insights can identify these resources and show a warning. But if there is any JavaScript file that is present in those necessary additional resources, then the downloading and parsing of those JavaScripts increase the first contentful time tremendously, as JavaScripts are generally larger in size and take longer to parse compared to HTML or CSS. Authors or developers of non-page speed optimized websites include such render blocking resources inside the head section of the HTML document, as those scripts are necessary to be loaded first in order to display that website correctly to the end user. To counter those render blocking resources, you need to extract critical JavaScripts from those render blocking JavaScripts, where critical JavaScript is the one that is needed necessarily in the above the fold section of your website. Once critical JavaScript is extracted, there are two approaches to optimize them. First approach is to inline critical JavaScripts in the HTML document. This can significantly improve the first contentful paint time. To further optimize those inline critical JavaScript, you can opt to load it once the DOM is ready. It means the entire HTML document is downloaded and parsed. In simple words, load the critical JavaScripts once the document is fully loaded. Second approach is to server-side render above the fold HTML of your page. It means above the fold section of the HTML document is parsed and rendered along with the necessary resources in the server itself. Then that entire rendered above the fold HTML is cached in the server. So when a browser requests your site, your server will serve the cached rendered above the fold HTML, which can be downloaded and parsed quickly in the user's browser. This can display your site's above the fold content immediately to the user, while the non-critical resources are still being fetched, parsed, and executed. However, there are two downsides to this. 1. This can tremendously increase the rendered above the fold HTML file size. 2. The rendered above the fold section of the site won't be interactive to the user until the necessary JavaScripts are also downloaded and parsed, which will increase the time to interactive factor in PageSpeed Insights tool. Time to interactive means the time taken by your site to respond to a user's input. Well, there's no single correct solution to improve first paint time. Try both inlining and server-side rendering. Go with the one whose benefits outweigh the trade-offs. This is a complex concept which may need further reading and research if you want to implement by yourself. So let me provide some external links for you to guide your implementation and better understanding. To avoid these complications in the first contentful paint time, try not to use any render blocking JavaScript in above the fold section of your site. If you can do that, then you don't have to extract critical JavaScript at all. Also, try not to complicate the design of above the fold section of your site with CSS effects too, as it can increase the size of critical CSS. We will discuss critical CSS in the next lecture. Pre-cache assets. Instead of fetching assets like CSS and JavaScript every time from the server, a tool called Service Worker can fetch them directly from a cache rather than the server on repeat visits. This not only allows users to use application when the server is offline, but also results in faster page load times on repeat visits. A service worker is built into the browser and controlled by a JavaScript code, which you need to write. Alongside your website's other JavaScript files, you need to deploy this service worker JavaScript too. Well, you can use a third-party library to simplify the process of generating a service worker. For example, one such service worker toolkit built on the top of service worker and cache storage APIs is Workbox. Workbox provides a collection of tools that allow you to create and maintain a service worker to cache assets. For a detailed guide on service workers, let me add some links to the external resources. Lastly, you need to defer loading the non-critical JavaScript files, which is also called lazy loading. Non-critical JavaScripts are the ones that are needed only in below the fold area of the website, or the ones that are not that important and can be loaded later. To defer load a JavaScript file, add defer attribute inside the script tag. Technically, you can also use async attribute to make a script non-render blocking. While both async and defer attributes download the JavaScript asynchronously, async executes the script as soon as it's downloaded, whereas defer executes the script only when the document parsing is completed, that is, in the same order as they are called. For example, if you use jQuery script on your site and some other JavaScripts that depend on jQuery, then you should use defer attribute on both these jQuery and other scripts that depend on it, so as to not break your site. Now, you could have understood some of the basic concepts behind the PRPL pattern. Remember, it's not important to apply all of these techniques together. By implementing any of the 4 techniques in PRPL, we can fetch you huge gains in page speed. If you want to discover the performance opportunities in this PRPL pattern, analyze your website using Lighthouse. I shall add a link to the detailed guide in the external resources. Once the PRPL pattern is done, all your JavaScripts need minification, which means stripping out all the unnecessary spaces, formatting, and comments from your JavaScript codes. This minification needs to be done on JavaScript, CSS, and HTML files too. Like I have been saying so far, if you're using a CMS like WordPress, the implementation of this PRPL pattern and minification becomes much simpler than what you should do if you're doing all by yourself in a custom-made website. Final part of JavaScript optimization is to remove unused code. We often include libraries in our code that we don't fully utilize. Those codes are unnecessarily loaded, which impact the page speed. To fix this, analyze your code and remove unused code and unneeded libraries. Open your website in an incognito window in Chrome browser. Press Ctrl, Shift and J or Command Option J to open console. Go to the Network tab and select the Disable Cache checkbox. Press Ctrl, Shift and P or Command Shift P. Type coverage and press Enter, or click Customize and Control DevTools menu, then More Tools and select Coverage. Now click the Reload button in the Coverage tab. This Coverage tab will show a usage visualization chart in red and blue color. Here the red part denotes the amount of unused CSS and JavaScript codes in your website. But these unused bytes can start to reduce once you start to view the unviewed CSS and JavaScript effects. For example, if you mouse over this title, it appears underlined. As it does, some more code is used from the style sheet. So it's not an easy task to find out the exact code or included libraries which won't be used in any resolution or device combination. If you are well versed in coding, then this is the procedure to find out unused code and then you have to remove them. In the case of CMS like WordPress, this is normally done by the theme and plugin author. So there will be a lot of unused codes, especially if you display the same version of the responsive themes across multiple devices like desktop and mobile. So this is the only segment where custom-made websites win over content management systems like WordPress. Because in case of custom-made websites, you can easily pay your website developer to find and remove unused JavaScripts and CSS files using the above said way. Whereas in case of preset themes used in WordPress, you have to rely upon the theme author, who might not strip off those unused codes as they might be used by other users. But you don't need to worry about this a lot, because if you have made all other optimizations, if you use a Pagespeed optimized theme and if you host your site on a faster server, then this unused CSS and JavaScript codes won't impact your page loading time by a significant margin. In this lecture, you will know what to worry and what not. As said in the beginning of this Pagespeed Technique 1, you don't need to chase 100 out of 100 Pagespeed Insight score. Getting a green tick or a good score from Google's Pagespeed Insights is more than enough. What really matters is the page loading time. So try to maintain a maximum of 3.5 seconds page load time in webpagetest.org. Never go beyond that. But the benchmark timings are 1.5 to 2 seconds in Pingdom Tools and 3 seconds repeat view load time in webpagetest.org. Even after following our page speed techniques, if you can't get a good score in PageSpeed Insights, or if you can't get a benchmark page load time, then try the following things. Reduce external JavaScript and CSS files. Suppose if PageSpeed Insights recommends a lot of JavaScript and CSS files from external domains under minification or leverage browser caching, then avoid using such plugins or widgets if not necessary. Avoid pop-up widgets or plugins to display pop-ups. It not only affects your page speed, it also affects your SEO. Try to avoid using page speed unoptimized drag and drop builders. Simply try to deviate less from the ideal scenario as far as possible. The ideal scenario is using page speed optimized, minimalistic and responsive themes. Not using external assets as much as possible. Follow our page speed technique. In the next lecture, we are going to start page speed technique 2. In the past, links were the primary SEO factor for search engine rankings. And that was also the reason for the high tactical manipulations in this sector over a long period. These times are over a few years back. Links will continue to lose relevance in the age of semantic context and machine learning. where user experience and content relevance are gaining more importance recently. Search engines like Google are getting improved in ranking the best and the most relevant content. Also, with the evolution of mobile devices like smartphones, fresh and most shared content gets higher rankings. For certain niche topics, a high ranking is possible today without a large number of high quality backlinks. With increase in search traffic from mobile devices, web pages are often liked or shared and not actively linked like before. The increasing role of apps and app rankings in organic search reduces the importance of backlinks. Backlinks continue to be a part of the SEO algorithm, but now they are termed as just another SEO factor and no longer the primary SEO factor to achieve high Google rankings. In the next lecture, you will learn the important terminologies used in backlinks or link building.